Morning, friends. On vacation, so pardon me since I haven't shaved and I'm looking a little scrubby. I get a high school scrimmage today. My son's starting football, and I'm all excited about that. Today, since I get a little bit of free time this morning, I'd like to talk about the idea about when opinions are different, and just to get you some, hopefully, some gleanings on maybe how to handle this and what not to do as far as making assumptions, or what not to do as far as engaging in debate that might be just not a good idea or might be just incorrect. When people have a disagreement or a difference of opinion on, say, an issue of abortion, perhaps you guys who are having this discussion, or if it be two people or several people, you're gathering new information, and you can have this subject going on, for several weeks. And if the boundaries are good and you don't say hurtful things to one another, I have no objection to the argument going on as long as you guys are comfortable with it. And clearly, I think in a case of this nature, the reason why it's fruitful for the debate to go on long, because there is a right and a wrong answer. Either we should have no abortion, or make abortion illegal, or we should allow it to be permitted. I mean, abortion is kind of, I guess in the cases of certain reasons for having abortion, there could be nuances, or people can have difference of opinion. But I think abortion is too much of an issue that there is either one way or the other is right or wrong. So I think the idea that one side want to persuade the other side to come to their point of view and argue the merits of a case is very good, because there's not like several differences of opinion on it. However, this gets a little more dicey when we get into people's personal convictions and what might be right or wrong for them. Recently, I did a posting of a man who was a black man who was, I'm sorry, a white man who was carrying a bucket of chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and a lot of black people were chasing him. And this was on somebody's wall, I know, and it was attempted humor. And many people thought it was funny, because under the caption it said, like, bravery. So in other words, you got the white guy carrying a bucket of chicken being chased by black men, and he's like protecting his bucket of chicken, and that's an example of bravery. It's obviously social satire in a way, and some people might find it funny, some people may not, and people can give differences of opinion on that, and it could go on for days and days and days. Unlike the abortion issue, this is what I want to say. It's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get a right or wrong answer on what's appropriate regarding humor. Sometimes it's clear. I think as a Christian, I think there are definitely boundaries that shouldn't be crossed, because it goes into a baser instinct. I think a lot of the stuff you'll see on TV that attempts at humor are clearly profane and just in bad taste. And I think people who like bad taste or have no sensibilities of the human condition may find that funny. And I think I could argue that they're wrong. It's not just my opinion. I think there is stuff that really isn't funny. However, it gets a little more complicated when people might have at one point thought something was funny, but maybe because they're either older or more mature, they may not think it's funny now, for various reasons. And it's a perfectly legitimate feeling for them to have. And people who they might have known before, who might have said, well, so and so believed in this joke before, now they don't. Maybe he's got like a stick stuck up his ass. I don't think that's fair. I really don't. I think people can change their point of view. They can give a reason why they do, and it may be, in some senses, they may be convicted of this as not being funny, and they may be convicted of an old lifestyle they have. They want to now be a person of influence, and now they don't think it's funny. And that's a perfectly legitimate thing to have, point of view have. What I think creates a problem is when those who have, maybe graduated, so to speak, from one form of humor to not thinking it's funny, is for them to assume that humor is not funny at all. And the people who hold that type of humor as funny, they're just plain wrong, or they're sophomoric, or they just haven't evolved to the level I am. And I think you could see how that can go in a lot of other areas as well. Somebody who was once a drinker and had bad experiences as a drinker, now is a reformed drinker and sober, and they can think of sobriety as a higher level of being, never touching alcohol, whereas somebody else doesn't. They may try to say, well, I got to persuade you to be more like me. because I'll show you why drinking can potentially be a problem. Well, social satire could present a problem. It could be hurtful. It could provoke stereotypes. Yes, yes. But what if other people, even though they understand your point of view, where they're at right now, they just don't feel that way. They just still think, I'm going to be honest, certain things I see as funny. And I don't think, at least for the time being, no matter what you say, can really persuade me to think it isn't funny. I respect your opinion. The rationale behind it, I think, is a good one. But I think there's other rationales behind why you might think, let's say, social humor regarding stereotypes may be funny. You maybe think it'd be good if people can poke fun at one another. And to suggest that you're that way because you're just an easygoing, loosey-goosey type of person, not a real serious person, I think that would be unfair to make that statement. They just think it's funny because they think the idea of maybe a guy running with chicken when black people obviously eat a lot of chicken is a funny joke. And you could use this for other ethnic groups as well, like Italians. If you see Italians eating pasta all the time, and similar situations, you may find amusing, particularly if you know a lot of people in these ethnic groups who perpetuate the stereotype, for good or bad. It's just the way it is. You can think it's funny. So I think when you're debating these things and having a different point of view, I think there will come a point where unlike other issues like maybe abortion, the death penalty, economic positions, I think it's perfectly fine for people to have two opposing positions, and the other one shouldn't try to say, I know I'm right and you're wrong. Whereas in other issues, I think that is inevitable, and I think you can approach the line that way as long as you're not clearly closed-minded about everything and you're fair in your parameters and how you argue. So there's my thoughts for today about recognizing that if somebody holds a particular point of view regarding something that's not so clear-cut, don't make a judgment, particularly regarding humor, is if they don't think something's funny, it's because they get their stick stuck up their ass. And likewise, the people who think that maybe that, I used to think that is funny, but I don't anymore, don't think now that you become better than them or somehow your argument is better, because if they laugh, they laugh. It's not wrong. It's a legitimate response to something they find funny. And unless it's clearly something that isn't funny, clearly something, I think if people are poking fun at somebody's religion, in a way that's clearly mean, you shouldn't do that, and I'll argue that point. But if it's something that's subjective, like playing into racial stereotypes, I think it's different. My thoughts for today. Thank you, Johnny W. Bread. So long for now.